Hello, I'm journalist and comedian James Mullinger. Almost 10 years ago, I left London, England and moved to St. John, New Brunswick. Since then, my stand-up career has taken me to just about every town and city in Atlantic Canada, which, let's face it, has provided plenty of material. But I've also come to realise that this place is special and, crucially, underappreciated. So my wife Pam and I started a magazine, the Maritime Edit, to celebrate the natural beauty of the region and the incredible spirit of the people here. Here on the Maritime Edit's Atlantic edition, I've had the pleasure of meeting some of Atlantic Canada's most interesting and dynamic people and learned what drives and inspires them, and heard what they love about this place that we're all so proud to call home. Now I'm utterly delighted to be back on the road for a third and final tour of inspiring conversations with a whole new crop of fascinating Atlantic Canadians. Today I'm headed to northern New Brunswick to meet up with Wolf Castle, a 24-year-old Indigenous Mi'kmaq rapper, producer and singer from Pabineau First Nation. Growing up on the reservation within an incredibly supportive family of artists, a career in the arts seemed like the natural choice for this talented young gentleman whose real name is Tristan Grant. Everything about Tristan defies the odds. He taught himself how to play piano at the age of 11, he writes and records all of his own work, and he's been releasing music projects every year since the tender age of 17. He's found huge success playing festivals across Canada, and in recent years has secured nominations at the East Coast Music Awards, and last year won his very first Music New Brunswick Award. I'm a huge fan and can't wait to see him. I'm James Mullinger, and this is Atlantic Edition. This is my first time visiting Pabineau First Nation and I could not be more excited. I've been a huge fan of Wolf Castle for a while now. I've seen him live twice and I interviewed him for my podcast shortly after his ECMA nomination for Indigenous Artist of the Year, but this is our first time meeting in person. In just a few short years, Wolf Castle has grown from a bedroom producer into one of the most important and prolific Indigenous hip-hop artists working in Canada today. I can't wait to chat with him about the importance of his supportive family and community, what drives and inspires him, and where Wolf Castle goes from here. Here we go.
Wanted a name like Gregory, Da Vinci, hallelujah. Late to the party, thought I'd be here sooner. Gave myself a pep talk, switching from a loser. Destiny writes its own story. The future gon' build its own road. Every single path an unturned stone. Justice ain't coming from my people dethroned. 2020 was the fall of Rome. Kicked in the door and fucked up the zone. The human torch in the palace of gold, they freeze. So I
Tristan!
Hey!
How's it going, brother?
Good, man, good.
Oh, mate, this is such a joy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, man.
Not at all. So this is literally where it all began.
This is where it all began. Yeah.
This is your childhood home.
Yes.
And you grew up here with your two siblings.
Yep.
And what's this?
This is our studio.
Wow.
Yeah, art studio, multiple things, music, painting, dance, I don't know.
Amazing.
But, yeah, art studio.
So really, like, the amount of creativity that has gone on in there is just untold.
Yeah, it's just anything you can think of. We've tried it, it's happening there.
Wow, that's amazing. And what does that mean on that?
That's a welcome sign. It says Upjalasi in Mi'kmaq, and it just says welcome.
Beautiful. Well, I feel welcome, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Let's go be creative.
Let's be creative together.
Let's do it.
Let's
do
go.
this.
At the Bow Wow team go. Make the team go. I got the sauce, I'm on the loose. You got the tunes, we got the juice. Half court shot like my flow is in the booth.
Look at this.
Relaxing.
Relaxing in paradise,
Yes.
in the most creative place in the world, quite possibly.
That's what they say. I don't know. That's what I would say.
Exactly, it's what your mum says, and she would know.
She knows, yeah.
I think the thing I have to start with is you've had a hell of a year. You ECMA nominations, you won your first Music MB award, headlining festivals. How does it feel to see everything come together?
it feels like finally,
Right.
you know, just it feels good. You know, it's just happening, and I love that. You're right. It's been a long journey
Yeah.
to get to this point, and I'm glad the ball's been rolling. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like the hard work is paying off essentially. And,
Yeah.
and let's face it, I mean, you are still very young, but at the same time, I mean, you taught yourself piano, I believe, in this house at 11.
Yes, you can see the window right there. This tiny bedroom. Like when we first had this house when I was a kid, it was a bathroom, and then I wanted my own room, so we took the bathroom out, moved it downstairs, and I was up there, and it was like this tiny room, but it was like a little sanctuary for me. And when I was, 11, 12 years old, I started really getting into music, and when I was in that little room, that's where kind of the inspiration for this musical journey that I've been on really kicked off, because I had my own TV with cable, I had a piano, and I just started kind of figuring it out.
That's amazing. I mean, what an amazing environment that your mother has kind of created here, where you and both of your siblings both felt this freedom to embrace all art in various different mediums, but also at 11 to have the tenacity and the drive to say, I'm going to teach myself piano.
Yeah, I learned on YouTube. I just got these videos, and it would be like Mortal Kombat theme, easy piano tutorial, and I would just watch their fingers, because I didn't know what the notes were. I couldn't tell you an A or a G or F sharp, I don't know, but I would watch their fingers, like one finger like this, and then rewind it, learn it, and then rewind it. Okay, yeah, good. And then over a course of like a few hours, okay, now I know the Super Mario Brothers theme with one finger. And that just slowly built into actually learning how to make music.
It's amazing. So what other completely strange or random things do you know how to play based on that formula?
Accordion.
No way.
Yes. I mean, it's half a piano, right?
It is.
Like half, and then there's buttons. And I found this weird old accordion somewhere, and I really liked Weird Al. I don't know.
Who doesn't?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, hey, he's got an accordion. That's kind of cool. And I was learning piano, and I picked it up, and like when you literally picked it up, it would like, there was something broken inside. Something was flying around in there. But I was like, whatever, let's do this. And it was never good. But I figured out kind of how to play it.
So tell me, like, as everything kind of came together this year and awards start flying around and critical praise, was there a moment where you were able to kind of really kind of go, wow, this is it. This is what I've been working towards. And tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I think for me what felt the best was when we got vinyls made.
Right.
Vinyl records made of Da Vinci's Inquest. Right. I don't know, just something about a vinyl record is just so like, it's such a symbol of this is a piece of work, this is a body of work, and not everybody does that. And I got some like green ones made too, special green ones, and just to have that in my hand and see that I was, I had this physical record, I had these festivals lined up, and I was able to just do this for a living. Like, I really felt like, wow, all this stuff I've been dreaming about since I was like a shy kid has finally come true. So just like to have that physical representation, I think really brought it home for me.
So what was that like growing up with that support network and with a mother that was not only so creative, and of course, in addition to that, the fact that she is gifting all of you an outlook that says you can do whatever you want, and you don't have to take a traditional path in life. You can do whichever creative thing tickles your fancy. What was that like?
Yeah, I like to joke that they would have looked at me funny if I said I wanted to be a scientist.
Right.
Like, what? You want a regular job? No, but it was a beautiful experience, right? Like it really showed me that you can take your art somewhere. You can make something out of it, and I understood very much like that it wasn't going to be easy either. Because even though she made all this art and we had these great examples, like we still lived a pretty normal life, and sometimes there were financial struggles, sometimes you had good years, bad years. It's kind of the artist's life, and we went through that. But she always had a smile on her face. She was always, still like championing art and creation and expression.
No one's willing me to fail, but equally, the success of being an artist is actually just the doing it.
I think for me, what I get out of making music and performing and being in a space with people and sharing that moment is you realize you're not alone. And like, even though we all have very unique different lives and stories, there are similarities. And I think that's how we connect as people.
I would describe Tristan as very warm, loving, protective, very empathetic to other people's experience, and creative, super creative. I think what drives him is having the ability to have a voice, to share things that he feels about the world and about people in society, and to also have a lot of fun while doing it. Because that's the thing that I notice about him when I go to his shows and see him performing. He's having fun, and people are having fun with him, and they feel that, and I'm very proud of him.
I mean, the Da Vinci Chronicles, all 4 EPs have clearly, resonated with so many people. And obviously the 4th, you mentioned Da Vinci's Inquest, which has been such a commercial success, a critical success. Talk me through that, the journey of recording those 4 albums, and how and why you decided to make it a series. And is there something that you wanted people to learn from it?
Yeah, it was really about my kind of journey as an artist in growing up too. It's like a coming of age series, I suppose. It was about asking myself, like, why do I want to be an artist? Why am I in this game, or is it a game? What is that about, right? I kind of wanted to ask this question of, like, what does it mean to be a great artist, or what does it mean to be this sort of like Renaissance man? And that was the big question of Da Vinci Chronicles, all those albums. Because my sort of like naive, youthful ambition is like, I'm going to be the next Drake, I'm going to be the biggest star in the world, like I'm going to be the biggest rapper ever. And then at a certain point I was like, but why? Why do I want that? Like, is that something worth chasing, or is it worth chasing making art because you love it? And I intentionally started it with the first one, sort of like self-indulgent, really like bravado, like kind of creating this persona of Da Vinci, within Wolf Castle. And that whole EP was just like, okay, this is like the brash, really in your face thing, because that's like the idea of these larger than life artists. And then I wanted to deconstruct that throughout the EPs. So it's like the highs, and then the next EP was Dark Side, which is the lows, where, you can be the life of the party, but at some point you gotta go home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's it. And there's vulnerability in that album, very much so.
Yeah, there is. And it was exploring kind of that, and how like you can't keep that previous lifestyle up. And then Gold Rush was the next one, which was like, okay, let's bring it back home. Let's come back here and feel that rush of emotions, and allow myself to just kind of be Wolf Castle, be Tristan, not try to be like the next Kanye or the next Drake or something like that. And embrace family, and embrace, a more genuine sort of approach to making art and love. So when I went to the 4th part, Da Vinci's Inquest is a look into the death of something, right? Or death of a person. So it was like, I'm going to take that Da Vinci character and kill him off. And it's like the inquest into that, like what's the aftermath of that. And so that record was all about, okay, this is the first one that's not a character. We're going to say goodbye to this Da Vinci thing and just be me.
Were you into poetry growing up? Because a lot of it is very poetic. And if so, how have you kind of blended thoughtful, poetic lyricism with heavy beats? And
Well, again, something I was interested in was the mix of I wanted to deconstruct the sort of ideas behind highbrow and lowbrow art, because I found that sort of connotation existed in the art world. So I wanted to sort of like, I get a kick out of combining it. People don't expect the crazy party anthem to lyrically be a little bit deeper.
Exactly.
And below the surface, it's talking about a lot more stuff, Like I have a song called Wealth Man on Da Vinci's Inquest.
It's a huge hit, of course.
Yeah, and that song is about, celebrating people that work so hard to keep the lights on, living check to check or on and off welfare, like, things like that happen in this community, in my family, like, and I recognize that, it's a talent in itself to wake up every day, go to work, maybe you're raising a family, and you manage to keep some sort of stability or something going, even if you're check to check, if you're worried about the bills and stuff.
It's heroic.
Yeah.
But it's also a wonderful byproduct as well that people are also learning about Indigenous culture from you, from the music. Do you feel a responsibility to do that, or is it just something that kind of comes organically with the fact that that's who you are, and it comes through that way? And is it nice that people are kind of actively wanting to know more?
I feel like I've had this thing where when I started making music, I talked a lot with my mom about, what does it mean to be an Indigenous artist? Like,
Right.
I think there's a certain picture that people have in their head of what that is. And I do like to subvert that expectation, because the truth of the fact is anything I write is Indigenous music, because I am Indigenous, right? Like,
Exactly.
if it's a party anthem, it's an Indigenous party anthem, and anyone else can hop on the train and enjoy it too, right? But like, that's what it is. So I feel like just the life I live and the things that I want to talk about represent that experience, and I do want to be a good role model, and I want to be someone that people can understand or feel like I'm like them, because I've been through the ringer, man. Like, but I'm still here, and I'm always trying to promote that.
Where did the name Wolf Castle come from?
Wolf Castle. It's funny, man. I really love that name. I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
When you look at the name, you think wolf, you think nature, you think, like it's a powerful word, and castle is like, wow, it's kind of the opposite of like like Indigenous stuff. It's like a colonial sort of representation of medieval Europe, and it's like, oh wow, is he always going between these two worlds? Is he always doing this stuff? And that's one interpretation of the name. Yeah. But really, I came up with the name because I was making an account on Reddit.
Really? And that was just
And I was like, what's two words
Yeah.
that sound really cool together? Wolf, Castle. And I went, that's awesome.
Bosh.
Because I was making like a new account on the internet.
Business, it's established. I'm a diamond with a status. Talking that shit in Spanish. When I flow, I slam it baddest. Broadcasting here's a lesson. Don't get caught up on the fences. I remember Papa stressing. Took a rifle out the message. Losing people on my mental. Seen the evil on my level. Bad weeds bugging straight. Resin, I know several. Kept it simple for survival. Went to school.
This is my first time at Pabineau Falls.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely stunning. I mean, it's like it's a wonder of the world. I mean, what does this place mean to you?
This is, a place that we would come all the time as a family and as the community, and it's a popular attraction as well, right? People come here just to take a look at everything that's here, right? It's amazing. So this place is where I really feel at home a lot. It's a good place to think, and the water, the sound of it all, it just, I don't know. It gives me a sense of peace. Yeah, right? Like,
I love that. Yeah, well, it's very spiritual. It's very cathartic.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is the kind of place that you can come to feel creative, and does it kind of does it get your brain working, or is it more of a place just to kind of relax and unwind?
I think it's a really good place to relax and just think about where I am in life, or feel connected to not only my family but ancestors as well, because this place has been visited for thousands of years by ancestors, and it's just amazing for me to be here and to think, wow, my grandfather was here, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, they all, and my family, they all came here, and I always feel connected to them because I wonder, they took in the same view, they thought the same things probably, and it's just a way to feel connected.
When you come here and contemplate and you look back on your career, what are the real highlights for you? The moments that stand out and you go, that was it for me.
I think one thing that stood out a lot was earlier this year and last year as well. I had kind of done these from home concerts that were recorded, and I set up at the band hall, which is not too far from here. And I just kind of brought the music to my home community in a space that doesn't generally have musical events, right? Nice. So to put on that show in my community in a space where I'd also grown up, it just felt really special to, go out in the world, but then bring it all back.
That's stunning, yeah. So you go off, you go on the road, you perform to large crowds all over.
Yeah.
And to be able to come back, I guess, also with a performance style that maybe anyone that had seen you back in the day hadn't seen,
Yeah.
and you're coming back with essentially this wealth of world experience.
Yeah, I feel like Bilbo or something from Lord of the Rings, right? Like just going out in the world, coming back to the Shire and
It's amazing.
spinning the tales, telling the people what I've learned.
I absolutely love it, man. I love it. So as you know, I'm listening to Wolfcastle. What is Wolfcastle listening to these days?
These days, I'm trying to like expand my musical, knowledge and what I've been listening to. A lot of like 80s Japanese records, like city pop records. They were like albums made for grocery stores and things like that. But actually, that made me think of another album I just bought on vinyl. It's called Plantasia, and it's made by a guy that was born in St. John.
No way.
And it's music for plants.
No way.
Yeah, it's to help them grow.
No. Yeah. Oh my God, they eat plants. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So and does it work?
I think so. My plants haven't died yet. So
Genius. Even if you don't, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years from now, I'd like to be, continuing to really promote where I come from and represent my people on an even bigger stage. Like recently, I've been traveling more outside of Atlantic Canada and doing shows outwards. And I think, something you talk about a lot is how this place might be a hidden gem and people, this place is beautiful and there's so much to offer, especially not only the landscape, but the people. And I always find like, as a rapper, I have a unique perspective kind of coming from a rural area.
Yeah.
A lot of rappers are from the city or from an urban space. And it's like, I grew up, in the woods, climbing trees and everything like that. So I want to put that message out into the wider audience and show people, where I come from, Pabineau First Nation. This place.
This magical place.
Yeah.
And of course, the amazing thing is, you'll still only be 30 then as well. So
Yeah.
you've still got like decades of career there. Well, Castle, thank you so much for an amazing day.
Yeah, no, it's been great talking to you, man.
Likewise, I've had
It's
an
been the best.
amazing time, and keep doing what you do, brother.
Thanks, man.
Cheers. Appreciate it.
We used to play Scrabble at my grams. Night times under snowy skies, sliding with the fam. Funny how it changes, life tests patience. We ain't kids, hope my mind don't stop aging. A fast love of my relations burn rubber too. Freezing over figure eight, closing off the summer. You used to worry when our people started drugging. A year later, now you're pushing to my cousin. Can't understand, but an unstoppable mess up. I'm never ever burning bridges, but the dust has been built up. Help provide a vision, inspired by my mediocrity. Sleeping in on a Sunday at a high velocity. The damn ceiling fan know my dark truth. Speaking to myself as I stare into the roof all night. Dreaming about an earlier time, nostalgic for a VHS, Nickelodeon slime. I'm gone.